So we're using, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this nonstop parchment paper. This is one of my favorite tools to use in the kitchen. And I'm gonna show you how to do it two different ways today. So, first way, this one might be a little different. All I do is in a regular pan, and this is great if you don't have nonstick pans and you don't like to use nonstick pans. This works with any pan. So stainless steel, aluminum, cast iron, whatever it is. All we use is a little square of parchment paper or whatever fits on the bottom, right onto the pan over medium heat. Pretty simple. Now we've created, like this is a nonstick, but if I didn't, now we've created a nonstick pan, which is kind of cool. And our fish is gonna go right on top of that. And this is a great way to cook fish. You can cook anything. You can cook chicken, you can cook vegetables. Again, you don't have to overuse it. I use it quite a bit because, like I said, I don't like doing dishes, but you still get a really nice sear on the outside. Because it's a natural sort of nonstick, I don't have to add a ton of oil or fat either that you would normally need to add to, like, let's say a stainless steel pan if you're searing a protein. So again, it's a great little trick and tool to use. We're using rainbow trout today. You can use any fish. I try to pick what's nice, what's in season. The fish market, this was fresh from Georgian Bay. So, try to talk to your fishmonger, even use some of the resources out there. There's a couple, there's Ocean Wise and Sea Choice, and I can write them down for you after as well, which give you sort of a guide of what's seasonal, what might not be the greatest choice in terms of maybe mercury, high mercury, also what's sustainable. So these guys are a really, really great way to sort of help you choose what sort of fish you want. So trout is gonna go right onto the pan, and I'm gonna season it very simply, just with a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna add, I don't need to add the olive oil. The trout itself has some beautiful fat. I'm just gonna add just a little bit for flavor. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a day where I haven't used it. But again, it's not for, I don't need, like if I didn't want to use it, it will still act as a non-stick with the parchment.
That's got no skin on it.
This has no skin on it.
So we have to take the skin
No,
off.
if you like the skin, you can definitely keep it on. You can even cook it with it on, and then it's a lot easier to come off after, if you like. But it's all preference. If I'm trying to keep, let's say, the odor down, sometimes when cooking fish, you perfume the entire house with this fishy odor. A lot of that comes from the actual skin itself and direct heat agitating the oils in the skin, and that's what gives you that really sort of fishy smell. So that's another way and you can ask your grocer, fishmonger to remove it for you if you didn't want it, and then cook it without skin. So does everyone hear the sizzle? Use all your senses. We know it's hot enough. If it's screaming, and actually the paper is a good indicator too. It won't catch fire. Parchment paper is heat tested up to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. When it gets to that point where it's too hot, it'll actually just start to turn really dark brown and then start to flake and crumble. That's almost a good indicator too. If this pan is too hot and my paper's like turning really dark, start over, get a new piece and go on top. But that's a thin piece, sorry for my back, that's a thin piece of trout. So that only takes 1 to 2 minutes per side. You're looking for, especially if you're immune compromised, you're looking for an internal temperature with fish of about 158 degrees Fahrenheit, about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. A food thermometer is a great tool to have in the house. If you don't have one, I suggest you have one just to make sure that you are cooking your proteins all the way through to the safe internal temperature. With fish, another good indicator is if it's flaking apart really easily, and it's not translucent in the middle, then it's cooked through. So that's going to take a couple minutes. Another way to cook fish, this one some of you may have seen, and this is great for like larger pieces as well, larger piece of parchment paper, and then run it under cold water. I'll show you why. So running it under cold water makes it a lot more malleable. I can play with it a lot easier. I'm going to squeeze some of the water out, but I actually don't mind some of the moisture in there. That's okay. That'll actually help with the steaming kind of cooking of the fish. I'll unravel it. Take a bigger piece. This is a fridge, by the way, so I'm not just pulling it out of a cupboard. Bigger piece of trout right in the middle there. And then you can season it again, whatever way you want. You can even put big pieces of herbs. Like I have, if you want some dill, I have parsley here. A little bit of those herbs on there. You can even take a little bit of lime. Actually, we'll do this. Put a little bit of lime, maybe just a little bit of that juice, and then the whole lime right in there. I'm gonna put this on top of here as well. Sorry to go back to this, but this is done on this side. So I'll flip it, and just to show you, really nice. I don't know, it's hard to see on there. There you go. Really nice color. And we'll do another minute on the other side. But with this fish here, season it whatever way you want. Again, maybe a little bit of salt. You knew it was going. A little bit of olive oil. But because I soaked it now, it's a lot easier to wrap it up. So I'm actually just gonna take the ends, kind of roll it, and then with the edges, just roll underneath. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's pretty well sealed, like this, and then that goes into the oven, right? So it's, again, if you don't want to cook on the stove top, and this, like we talked about the smell before, you can still, I'm sure you can smell the trout as we're cooking it, right? This is actually reduces that odor even more. So if you really wanted to eliminate that fish odor in the house, especially if you don't like fish or if you're nauseous, this is a great way to reduce that odor even more. So that's going to go into the oven for about 15 minutes. It's about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. General rule of thumb for cooking fish, up to about an inch thick at 375, you're looking at about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah. And every inch thicker. So you don't go by the length of the fish, you always go by the thickness of the fish. So every inch thicker, you add another 15 minutes generally on that. So that's gonna go into the oven. And again, we'll cook that until it's flaky and cooked through. This fish is done, and we'll finish our dish here. So again, to cook that fish, it took like, and I taught another lesson in between. It took less than 5 minutes. It doesn't take any time at all. The fish is done. I even added a little lime to the pan. We can throw that on there, and then we'll finish our toast. So you can get any sort of bread. This is a sort of like a sunflower rye bread. Get a nice whole grain bread if you like. I'll just take a little piece. And we'll add a little bit of avocado. And again, it's about customizing too. And these little sort of toasts, if you like it a certain way, you dress it a certain way. If you're cooking it for a few people, maybe put a few ingredients, and that way everyone can sort of customize it themselves, right? So a little bit of avocado on top. We'll get some beautiful radishes. The summer or spring, I know it's confusing, it's pretty nice outside, but it's finally here, so we're starting to see a few things. We try to put a bunch of the seasonal vegetables on the board there. Still not a lot left yet. We're getting some rhubarb, some radishes, which are really nice. Putting it on the fish. There we go, on the toast. And then I just take pieces of that fish right on top. And I mean, it doesn't look like a full meal, but this is actually a really nice little snack, and you're getting some really nice fish on top of there. right? And then you can dress it whatever way you want. So this is good as is. If you want to go the next step, make a little dressing. We try to include whatever's local and seasonal as much as possible in this class, so we get really excited when we start to see some fresh things. Everyone know what this is? Rhubarb. Leaves you don't eat. They're toxic. Just the stem. Yeah, don't eat the leaves. Don't make a salad with the leaves. This is one of those things. The rhubarb itself it's got a really tart flavor. That's why you usually see it cooked into things, because it takes some of that tartness out, it brings some of the sweetness out. But in a dressing, if I wanted it a little more tart, because I want some of that flavor, I'll just leave it as is. Either roughly chop it, you can even grate it. And it has this beautiful color as well. And if you don't like it, I know not everyone's a rhubarb fan. You don't have to use it. So a little bit of the rhubarb, a little bit of lime juice, more acidity. Herbs. So I'm using parsley here. Who likes dill? Dill is a nice one. Dill is a good one. How about cilantro? I expected that. And that's why, I mean, sometimes when we do these dishes, we'll put maybe a couple different herbs out there, because I love cilantro. But I know that some people, it's either a love-hate relationship with cilantro. So you put dill beside it as well, and they can choose. A little bit of olive oil for the dressing. Maybe a pinch of salt. This is sort of a nice way to finish it off. And this is a little extra. If you want to get a little chefy, you don't have to do this, but. And that's it. That's so a trout toast with a little bit of rhubarb dressing on top. Really simple, right?